All right, it's 6 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the December 4th Design Review Board meeting to order. Roll call: Shoemaker.
Here.
McFarland.
Here.
Wangard.
Here.
See if Mike and John join us at any point here. First order of business, we've got the November 6th, 2024 meeting minutes. Is there any additions or corrections to that? Those, I should say.
Thanks, you too.
I think they look good.
Is that a motion to approve?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
McFarland.
Aye.
Wangard.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
All right. First up, we've got Main Street Bank submitted a certificate of appropriateness application for 13.5 square feet of wall signage, 90 North Clay Street. Should all got a copy of the application and the rendering of the signage. If you remember back, where's Paul at? There he is. Sorry. Was that October-ish or last fall when the takeover?
No, it was,
Or summer?
Yeah.
Summertime.
May, June is when we did the
Yeah.
temporary signage.
So they'd gotten the approval for the temporary signage with the intent that they were coming back. So this is now the permanent signage. Well under the 32.5 square foot limit. No classic look. No real comments or concerns from the village's standpoint.
I think it's pretty straightforward. Looks good.
No concerns.
Everybody's good with it? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right. Shoemaker,
Aye.
McFarland,
Aye.
Wingard,
Aye.
and Zwolenski.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Paul. Good to get up. Welcome to stay if you want. Thanks. Next up, we've got Millersburg Dental, certificate of appropriateness application for a 21 by 60 foot 8-inch addition and facade at 135 South Clay. Got representatives from Tecton, the owners of Millersburg Dental property are here as well if there's any specific questions for them. Should have again got the renderings and the plans. So they're coming out the back of the existing building with the addition. Siding that's used on that will be incorporated into the front where there's not brick currently. Some roofing as well. That's the gist of it. And I believe from the plans, this was all looked to be much needed office space and meeting rooms. And never realized how compact everything was in there previously, or currently, I'd say.
Comments?
I'm sorry?
Are they gonna discuss this or not?
Yeah.
Are we ready for comments?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Again, Design Review Board, similar construction to surrounding buildings. The back's not a big deal, but it is a concern of mine, and I've run into this in other places. We're going to vertical siding on the front of the building. It really doesn't fit the neighborhood in my eyes, in my opinion. I think that should either remain horizontal siding or something different than vertical siding. It looks more like a agricultural or industrial type building rather than something in a neighborhood. My other concern is parking. It looks like we're losing a lot of parking. Again, that's a zoning issue more than design review board, but
Yeah, on
be good.
yeah, on the vertical, I mean, I think that's open to, obviously we can work with horizontal as well. honestly more of a, not a metal vertical, but more of a, like a hardy board or something like that, that would be a little more architectural than, completely agriculture, but I don't think that's a,
Not necessarily, something more so that, excuse me, something more so that would match the current roof line, the current facade was the approach.
in the back with the mon. And part of that is because of the property line, you know, we're dealing with
Right.
rated, so we're trying to stay away from, trying to make it simple from a fire rating because of how close we're to the property lines with the building code, so, that's kind of why. Plus, as they look to grow, but there's also the parking, they're working with neighboring properties currently, even the church, since that's the parking lot that's traditionally not used through the week, but then also, the Steinway building there as well. They've been working with them to use parking as well.
I live 2 doors down, and I'm very happy with what you guys have done with that place. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't fit the neighborhood.
That's my concern too,
Yeah.
as far as the, again, the back is, you're on an alley, I don't think that's a
Yeah.
big deal back there, but I think the
I-
front is a concern.
So is the front more just horizontal is where the brick is in,
Yeah,
so
you've got horizontal siding on it now, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, so.
just replace it.
So the concern is keeping the front the same as it is currently?
Well, yeah, something more of architecture, older looking than this. I mean, this, like said, that it looks more like just a commercial building.
And I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if the renderings clearly show it. On the front, there is majority brick. It's only under basically 2 windows. Right now, they need to replace regardless of rot. That's not.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
we
you're
have-
talking about the dental?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the church.
We're not to the church yet, Bob.
Yeah. No, the vertical would be just at the windows, yeah, the brick is the main entrance.
It's not the whole front.
And the
Yeah,
corners as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Clarify that, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the back is a little more clean and modern, I know, even in the dental, which is a little intentional with the client base and everything it is, but.
I guess we need to ask for a motion to
Yep.
approve or deny, so all in favor of the as presented with, do we want to include the alternate for the horizontal one or not?
Can you say that one more time, sorry?
Do the horizontal siding as an alternate?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
It's not a big deal to me.
okay, then I need a motion to vote on the project as presented with the option of using the horizontal siding on the front of the building.
I'll make a motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep on rolling, John.
Oh, hang on, let me, that's what you get for starting early. According to my watch, you started about 5 minutes early, so.
We were right on the money.
No, don't give me that.
We'll get
Okay.
you a battery tomorrow.
Village of Millersburg has submitted a certificate of appropriateness application for a 5 square foot projecting sign and a 15.2 square foot wall sign at 6 North Washington Street. And there is photos of the proposed signage in your packet. Any discussion about the sign? It's much improved over the old signs, I'll say that.
I think it looks,
Much improved.
I think it looks really good.
And just so you guys know, the theme or design of these it's a preview of what's to come at our entrance signs. 5 entrance signs around town. Those will be updated next year at some point with very similar look, similar to what they are now, but more up to date.
They're all gonna
modern
match,
material.
so it looks more uniform throughout the village.
Any further discussion? With that, I guess we'll call for a vote. We'll do it properly this time. We'll let you do a roll call. I felt pretty confident in the last one, so.
Is there a motion and a second, or did I miss?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it since I'm messing up here.
Wangert,
Aye.
Walensky,
Aye.
McFarland,
Aye.
and Shoemaker.
Aye.
Next on the agenda, Millersburg Christian Church has submitted a certificate of appropriateness application for the demolition of the existing church at 125 North Clay Street, as well as the construction of a new building to replace the existing. This matter will also go to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review of variances, setback requirements, and maximum building size. And we do have plans that were submitted. I know this has been a topic of discussion with the church for a long time. And, it's something that is needed for sure. There's some issues with the existing structure, I'm aware of that. Bob, I guess it's time for you to chime in now that you're concerned about the.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't fit the neighborhood, the looks of it is now. You know, there's older homes, I would say like the one bank building, you know, it's more colonial type. And I just don't see this as a church.
And again, when the bank did the new, the CSB building, they tried to emulate the old Opera House, and, you know, I don't think they were very successful, but that's
Yeah.
just, again, my opinion. But again, it's masonry. We have masonry across the street with the bank. We have the Education Foundation right across the street too, that is also masonry. And again, I agree with Bob. I think there should be some more masonry. It doesn't look very churchish, but again, that's all personal opinion. Again, it looks like it's appropriate space. There's other things gonna have to come before the zoning board as far as parking, things like that. But yeah, we just want it to be similar construction, I think, and again, have it fit the neighborhood a little bit better. Very, you know, like the adjacent buildings, more or less, would be my concern also. And again, on the alley, who cares? But again, you're gonna see it from Clinton Street, you're gonna see it from Clay Street. And when you're coming in town, that's gonna be one of the first things you really see besides the bank and the life center there. And again, like I say, I know it's needed. Just need a little tweaking to be done, I think, to fit the neighborhood a little bit better. Any other comments?
You guys pretty much took my comments I had. I had the exact same feeling.
Okay. Anything from the church?
Well,
Or neighbors?
Church, you go first, or?
Just there.
Okay, so, my name's Dan Lovey. Obviously, you guys know me. I don't know if any of you know me at all, but I do have some concerns regarding the style of the new proposed building. I agree with Robert. I don't feel like it really fits the overall design of the neighborhood. Also, I mean, what if we were to say they were gonna demolish Hotel Millersburg? What about the courthouse? This stuff might happen in the next 50 years. If we don't start taking steps to preserve these buildings, this isn't gonna be historic Millersburg. I urge council to have the church figure out a different plan for this property so we can preserve the building. Yes, I understand there are some concerns about structural issues, but every building that's of this age is going to have significant structural issues at some point. It just really depends on where you want to pick at. So I guess that's a couple of my comments. So that's what I encourage the board. And you know, like I said, they're not making any more of these buildings, and it's an icon. It is a place where people have gone for over 100 years. It has been a place of salvation. It's been a place of baptism. It's been a place of marriage and union for this community and a staple for this community. So that is my thoughts I have on that. So I also understand that it is your own property, and people have a right to do what they want with their property. But I think it's irresponsible to dispose of such a building of such beauty and magnitude for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment to that as a member of Millersburg Christian Church. The bell tower is going to kill people. You can see light coming in as you're sitting in the service. It's not just in disrepair, it needs torn down.
Well, that's just an easy repair. It's just a matter of shoring things up and
Well,
making sure it doesn't.
as you know, once you start fixing something, everything has to be brought to code. And the cost that we had received about 6-7 years ago to bring the church up to code was almost double what this is gonna cost.
I did want to point out that this was previously approved back in 2018 by the board at that time. So those approvals expire after 18 months. So that's why they're back in now, but it was approved at that time as well. And I think that's what, I don't want to speak for the church, but I think that's what kicked off their fundraising campaign then. Gave direction as to which way to go.
Yeah, the fundraising started, and we just, we completed that, and then, COVID hit, which delayed everything, and we're now to the point financially that we have a new building funded, so we want to move forward at this point with the building.
Again, it's used to be a free country, but it's not anymore, unfortunately. Again, my opinion. But again, I think that if this building is appropriate for what you want it used for, and I understand the cost of renovation. We worked on the hotel 19 years ago, something like that. A lot of things, every time you open something up, you find a surprise, and that would not be uncommon in a building this old. And it's a shame because I have people coming up to me and say, whatever happened to the Opera House? And that's just the kind of thing we're talking about. I mean, there was disrepair and it cost them a fortune to fix it, and they didn't. But still, there's a certain amount of sadness there to consider. And again, whether or not we get a record of what's there now, and if this does go forward to be demolished and replaced, yes, it's needed for the church community. I understand that too. But again, I think that there could be some improvements to make it emulate the surrounding buildings and fit the neighborhood a little bit better. And again, seen a lot of churches that don't look anything like a church, and that's, again, personal opinion. So that's fine to go forward as long as the congregation is in the majority of approval. Anything else from the board?
I hate to see Millersburg lose another historic building because we have lost so many that were here at one point, like the Opera House and some other ones around town. I understand completely that if it cannot be repaired, there's a need for new building. I don't think this is the right design for that part, for the town.
Any more comments from the crowd?
Maybe if it had a different facade, I'd feel more good about it.
I think one of the concerns is with the board approving it previously is there was a budget set and fundraising has occurred. I mean, I think it could be done, but obviously that's going to be a financial hardship. If we've worked with churches, the design has changed. I think John can probably relate to that as well, that accessibility to multi-purpose type spaces, it is a beautiful piece of art. I would absolutely agree with that. We have the Pomeranian building in Berlin. But unfortunately, when money's not put into things over the years, and it gets to this point, it's almost irreversible. And so that's kind of, sometimes when I get frustrated, we almost need to approach the people managing the building earlier, or have people willing to put money up, especially in a church facility. That's even harder. You don't control the people coming and going in the finances. So I definitely think it could be a hardship if the board would decide to go a lot further with brick. That is not a cheap material, even long-term, just the ease of maintenance as well. But obviously, it is a historic piece. I understand that, want to be respectful. Just, I think it's difficult with approvals from the past. That makes it difficult for a church to have to go back to the congregation and say, we need $50,000 more or $20,000, whatever that ends up being.
Thanks, Robert.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
So is there no way that bell tower could be shored up with the use of steel beams, eye bolts? Because I've seen numerous buildings of far worse condition that have been able to be shored up with such a system. That's been quite a few that I've seen, that I've been involved with as well. Because once, we can get that thing to stop moving, it's not gonna move any further. It's probably been moving for the past 50 or 60 years.
It's a decision for the church, Dan, not for us here on this board.
There's no further discussion. I think I need a motion to vote on this proposal.
I'll make a motion.
Need a second?
I'll second. Farland?
As it is, I have to vote no.
Wenger? No. Shoemaker?
No.
Walensky?
Yeah, I understand the situation, so I'm gonna vote yes.
So we have 3 no's as presented. So I guess it's up to you guys to figure out what changes you're able to make and can reapply it at that time.
Again, keep in mind that the nature of the neighborhood, maybe just to add some brick, whether it's full-size brick or the thin brick or something like that, that would definitely help, at least my opinion of what's going on. And again, historic stuff is tough. I know Berlin, I was involved in that project out there at Pomerine House and hated to see it get torn down, but it's a different world. All right. Anything else on the agenda that didn't make the paper?
Is there any guidance or anything you guys would ask as the applicants?
Yeah, definitely, we would like to hear some clarity. Just
Yeah.
as soon not come back multiple times.
Right.
This time is kind of, the project is, we have the builder here as well, and Weaver, so I think schedule is a little bit of concern, because we had kind of obviously made an assumption, and that obviously was not the right assumption, that once approved, I'm not sure what changed, if board members changed, or what kind of makes it difficult for us as the consultants and contractor trying to lead a church. So consistency would have been nice, but I think some guidance of how much brick, or so that they can go back and get budgets, because that might adjust to.
Again, I think, in my opinion, we need to make sure that North Clay and Clinton Street, that's where the main view is gonna be. I think that's where the masonry needs to appear.
Was the proposal different prior, or what, I just would like.
I wasn't on the board back then.
Yeah, it was not.
I don't know if any of us were on the board back then. so.
I don't know that we actually had a full-blown drawing. of that.
Okay.
I think it was just what's the inside is gonna be and where it was gonna sit on the property.
I don't know that we had that.
Yeah, I was on that board then.
So if you're just looking at those two sides with a decent amount of brick to give a historical
Yeah.
piece to it, and the rest of it, you'd be okay with a little more siding. And
I think the north elevation already has a bunch of brick on it,
Yeah.
so.
I think if it matched the other buildings in the area, it would it's gonna look better, and I think it would kind of preserve, if the building has to come down,
Yeah,
it would,
clearly, we're working with budgets, that's,
Yeah.
I mean.
no, I understand
I
that, yeah.
love a full brick building, it's just unfortunately where construction costs have gone post-COVID even, and John can speak to that too, it's been astronomical, so it's more of a budget thing. We'd
Yes.
love to design full brick and, you know, insulated panel and beautiful buildings, it just sometimes there's budget constraints we're trying to balance, so, we can work with the church to figure out what amount of brick can be afforded to continue the project. But, I mean, is it full brick, is it partial brick? Some kind of guidance would be helpful, so that when we come back, we know where.
Well, in my opinion, I think we should have the bulk of those two views full brick,
Okay.
including the gables.
Okay.
Is that what it's gonna take for this board to approve that?
I would like to see the
I-
building look more within how the other buildings in the area look. The Carey House right across the street, the bank building's right there, the commercial bank on the other side, Wayne Savings, or Main Street now. They all have the same similar look, and it looks like a historic part of downtown, even though it's off of the main street here in downtown. I think we still need to preserve that historic integrity.
I'm not trying to be any kind of way. I just don't want the church to have to come back here 4 different times because you guys don't like what they bring the next time. So I want you to tell them exactly what you want, because I don't think it's fair to say, we want $200,000 more for you to spend because of what we want. I don't think that's fair. But, so I want you guys to tell them what you want. Do you want full brick? Because that's gonna be a lot of money. Do you want partial brick? I just think that you guys need to give them some kind of better direction.
So if you look at the specific elevations of the building in the rendering, the south elevation and the west elevation are the two most prominent.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, the west is over half brick now, as proposed. I think what they're looking for is, are you wanting to see the rest of that, the piece that's got the horizontal siding, you wanna see that as brick?
The
as
white
well?
part,
Yeah, up to the eave versus, I mean, full gable, I agree that would look beautiful. I know how hard it is for churches. I think we all know the dynamics in the,
That is a brick wainscot on the south side.
what's
It
that?
is a brick wainscot,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
rendering, it kind of looks like it might be stone also. But it definitely looks like brick in the elevations.
Yeah.
And again, the gable on that porch would definitely still have to be a metal or maybe a horizontal siding up there rather than a
Yeah.
vertical, so.
Yeah, I think, is it full height, or is it maybe going up, you know, a little higher to provide
I would
more
say
than
if it's
just a wainscot, you know, maybe, 5 or 6 feet. I don't think we wanna match top of window, but if we go in those taller windows and go part way up, is that something the board would be willing to approve to help from a financial standpoint, but yet kind of find some middle ground versus a full brick?
I understand full bricks wouldn't be cost effective, so I mean, I would be okay even if it went a little higher, higher up
Yeah.
on the.
Well, would thin brick be an option?
I personally am not a fan of those, only because of long-term maintenance, they're gonna pop off, and
Yeah.
I think then if you don't have maintenance, I'd rather put less of the real thing and have a good, clean-looking building for a long-term time in the church, than try to go thin brick and cover the whole thing. I mean, that would be the other alternative, we could probably look at getting rid of the real traditional brick and do a thin brick, but that's not, in my opinion, not a good maintenance plan. It's not a.
Can I ask you a question?
sure.
And I'm just asking, obviously I'm coming in next, and I'm just asking this, so as the board, when is it their concern as to what it's gonna cost somebody? When they have to abide by whatever the rules are that so in other words, if Ecobo tells them what they have to do to whatever they have to, when they're the older buildings, they're not whatever it costs, is it gonna be something they're gonna be, they just have to abide by what they say?
Yeah,
You
for a
understand?
COBA, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm saying is that if cost isn't something they have to, I wouldn't think they have to be concerned about, as to getting something as to what they want something to be to abide by what they say. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
So-
completely
so
understand what you're
saying,
saying.
well, this is what this is gonna cost, any, COBA doesn't worry about that when they tell you, you've gotta do this to get by what we want. So that's, you're opening a door about when we're starting to worry about, when this board's starting to worry about, well, worried about how much more it's gonna cost you, then,
I'm the one worrying about the cost, not them. I'm not on this board.
I think,
I'm just asking as,
I think one of the
a
arguments,
constituent, as a Miller, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That really shouldn't be part of the board's consideration.
Right,
I
That
think
should not
there's a
be.
key difference though, is that with building code, you're looking at structural safety, integrity
right.
versus aesthetic differences.
But when
So
we
there is
start worrying
some
about this is
discretion.
gonna cost them more, that's not something that the board,
It's up to the design team to come up with that.
I'm just asking.
Yep.
We
Is
don't
somebody,
like to do things cheap.
Well,
somebody
and
here
the
from
other
the
thing,
church?
the other thing is this. It's about
Where would the
what's
church
the rules,
come?
not what's my personal preference also.
Well, yes, absolutely.
So that's part of it too.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that,
Tom?
yeah, I assume the church has a building committee?
Yes.
Okay,
We're part of it.
all right,
Tom and Albert, each part of the committee.
okay. I've worked on this very same thing already with a church, with a building committee. And there is always a way to work your way through it, especially with the cost. You guys are not in an enviable position because people become very emotional, even with taking down the existing building. And so you work your way through that, you end up here, and, okay, it's difficult for me to say no, because I know how that feels. But I would just ask you to look at the design and the elements that you're gonna put into that. I've also worked with Ivan Weaver Construction and know they can work miracles on how things look, what they can get you. They're great craftsmen that will help you redesign and get it cost effective. So I would say work with your team. Obviously, none of us here, well, at least 3 of us did not like the design. If you set that in Millersburg, you're gonna drive in and not really know what it is. So make it look like a church or something similar to what is there. And I understand, I own an old building in town, and I understand tearing it down sometimes would be a lot better than trying to keep it going, because it's tough. And in your case, I would assume it's structurally to the point where you can't save it anymore.
I mean, between structurally and a good portion of the building's not usable because it's not ADA compliant.
Yeah,
So the entire lower floor is not usable.
Yeah.
It's got very low ceilings, so all that space is gone. You know, we're talking from when we were here in 18 or 19, we're talking substantially increase
oh,
in
yeah.
our building costs, and we've already started the second campaign because of those building costs, and now we have additional costs that
Mhm.
we're facing, that we didn't expect. I mean, we're already, struggling, getting it completed upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll face other things yet too,
Pardon?
you'll face other things, not necessarily from this board, but there'll be things come up for you, I
Right.
guarantee it.
Right, everything adds to it, and this
Yeah.
adds, even more to it.
Yeah. But look at, there's always ways of managing your costs. You probably can't save all the costs that you're gonna incur to make it look a little bit different, but you can save the cost somewhere in some other part of the project, maybe.
To me, if you could construct the church with the dollars you have, to redesign the facade of it instead of looking like a commercial building, you know, out towards the east or whatever.
Yes, I am with Ivan Weaver, and I want to just add a little bit here. This is what we're discussing right now. The church has been really patient with us because, just as you're saying, I mean, before COVID, you know, we had a fairly good price is what we felt, and we were trying to be conservative, you know, for nonprofits as we usually do. And in a lot of cases, stuff has almost doubled since we started. And we're not quite there, and as you're saying, we've already taken that look at how can we be more conservative for the church and get the savings they need, which is still trying to get the looks they want. I do understand what you're saying. I know it's not 100% as the other buildings on the street there, but it does put them in a tough position, in my opinion, because with where they're at now, I mean, a very common look is to take the brick to the bottom of the window. It's either that or all, in my opinion, it's either that or full height. So when you guys say add more brick, to add feet, I'm afraid it's gonna start to look a little bit odd, you know, you're splitting it, it just doesn't, the appearance, in my opinion, I know it's not as much brick as you guys are wanting, but it's not as nice of a look if you would go halfway up the windows, or like Robert said, if you go to the top of the windows, you're almost forcing us to take it now to the full height. And brick compared to this siding it's not comparable. I mean, you're gonna force us to have to go back with the church, and we're gonna be back to square one really, because, which like I said, if we felt like the church was wasting money on certain items and we could switch this to brick, that would be an easy decision, but, you know, like you said, we don't try and market a whole lot for a church like this, and we've already cut this thing pretty close, and, I see it being an issue with the church if they have to add too much cost to this with the brick, what you guys are saying, and again, I understand, I mean, Village of Millersburg here, and you got a lot of brick buildings, and they're trying to do that the best they can already with the sanctuary. I mean, there's full height brick there up through the gables, and again, the wainscoting, with that common look of going to the bottom of the brick with a ledge stone. I'm afraid if we have to go any bit higher, it looks wise, we're almost gonna be forced to go full height then, so, that would be, that's all.
Thank you.
Any other comments or concerns? Well, with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.